Shalom. Call halal Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai B'Hashem Rakar Kodash. Double honors into the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. To the scattered, hopefully elect that are scattered among the four corners of the earth, mixed among the heathen that be like unto the speckled bird, meaning those of them that actually look like the heathen that are still our people. And the Akwaf that are listening and learning. To you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm. I'm coming at you with a lesson. All right, Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. I got a text this morning, a group text, and I was in that text, and the text sent me to a video of IOG, Israel of God, and it was funny because there was a video that popped up in my feed that I was going to do a video on, you know, and it's lovely that, and it's a beautiful thing that Jake is waking up to the fact that they're Israel, but you can't wake up to the fact that you're Israel, then be joined unto Caesar to teach about it. Because the true nature of the Israelite, the true prophet, all right, is going to be against the system that exists. Because teaching the truth about the Bible and the prophets is against the system that exists. Because the system that exists teaches all people. And then if it allowed you to teach about Israel, it allows you to teach about Israel under a 501c3 charter. Because when I looked at the video, I didn't realize that the message was to a group of people. I thought it was just to me. So I responded that the truth is going to be taught in the streets. All right. And I came with Acts 17, and let's turn to it. I started off with Acts 17 and 1, which is what, I mean, and 24, which is what I was referencing. All right. And it reads, I'll read it verbatim. All right. And it reads, God that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands. And I use that scripture proving the point that the truth about the Lord is not going to be found in temples made with hands. Well, one of the rebuttal scriptures that came back to me was he used Acts 17 and 1. And it simply reads, now when he had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonia, they came to Thessalonica, and there was a synagogue of the Jews, and Paul in his manner went up unto them, and 3 Sabbath days reasoned with them out of the scriptures. So what they did was they went to go reteach them the truth properly, because Paul didn't teach in synagogues. They went to the Jews that were there to teach them properly, because Israel no longer had a place anymore. All right, the punishment was upon us. So what he didn't understand was that they didn't go in there to teach the way he's thinking they went to teach. They went in there to chastise them and tell them that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, because those Jews were still teaching the Messiah hadn't come yet. You got to remember that most of Israel didn't believe. If you go to matter of fact, let me just keep reading to like verse 6, and it says, verse 3, opening and alleging that Hamashiach must needs have suffered and risen again from the dead, and that this Yahushai, because he said Jesus, by the way, whom I preach unto you is Hamashiach. All right. And some of them believed and consorted with Paul and Silas, and the devout Greeks in the multitude, and the chief of women. And those devout Greeks were Israelites, were the Hellenists, the Hellenista. Greeks that made Jews that made Greek their tongue, or Jews that followed Greekish customs and ways. All right, so he clearly doesn't know that. All right. And then verse 5, But the Jews which believe not moved with envy unto them that certain lewd fellows of the baser sort, and gathered a company to set all the city on an uproar, and assaulted the house of Jason, and sought to bring them out of the temple, which is what happens every time a man of the Lord goes into a church. When a man of the Lord goes into a church and proceeds to open his mouth to what the scriptures say, he gets put out of there, and there's plenty of evidence of that on YouTube. Right, when brothers go and try to bring the gospel to the church, and guess what? And I'm talking about to the Negro Latino churches where the Israelites dwell. And what happens? They get ran out of there. They get escorted out or asked to leave, because this guy JC, I won't say his name. All right, because that just happens to be his initials, JC. He believes not the gospel, because he put a few other things in a text message in a rebuttal, you know, as if he knew what he was talking about, and he had no clue what he was talking about. All right, he lacks understanding in the scriptures, and then in these too proud, he's trying to, and I'm telling him that, you know, I'm trying to tell him that you're not going to get the truth from a place like that. All right, and he's trying to debate with me, and then he brought up a black belt and sparring and people that I know. So I thought it was my nephew, you know, my nephew that used to be in the camp, but it wasn't him. All right, but so I'm still trying to figure out how he knows this black belt that he told me I need to say hello to. All right, you know, because I started conversating with him about that, thinking that it was my nephew who used to be in my camp. All right, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, boy, when I see you, because he talking about, let's say, the sparring for the dojo. And I'm like, man, you way out of order. First of all, you know, when you a lower belt, you don't call out a black belt. Second of all, you learn the truth through me, from me. But it wasn't my nephew, it's his other guy. And I do remember this guy, he's a friend of my sister. And I do remember talking to him about the scriptures. So I'm going to assume in that time, in all these years that have gone by, he's discovered or agrees that we are the Israelites, but yet he's following a glorified church doctrine, which is all these Israelites in these churches that's just glorified Christianity with the twist of Israelitism in it, as you know, as vocab would say. Because let me see, and I'm just gonna read these scriptures raw that he texted me back. I haven't even read these yet, but through the Spirit, I already know he already proved that he lacked understanding. And he even mentioned in the name Jesus, he read Matthew, where they gather in his name, 2 or 3 gather in his name. He quoted that, and he mentioned Matthew 1:18. So let me read that, man. All right, and it reads, now the birth of Jesus Christ, that's what it says verbatim, was on the wise, when as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child in the Holy Ghost. All right. A learned man would know that the letter J was newly created in the year 1634. The letter J did not exist. So that means there's no way you could say John, no way you could say Jesus, no way you could say Jehovah. That kills those lies right there. That is a fact. So any church that's teaching Jesus Christ, if you're going to come in his name, you actually have to know his name. That's why it says in the book of Proverbs, I believe 30 and 4, let's turn to that. So everything that he reads, I'm going to give a scriptural rebuttal, and properly, that everything that he mentioned. All right. But I do believe in Proverbs 30 and 4 is asking you a question, a mystery, the answer. All right. And it reads, Proverbs 30 and 4, who have ascended up into heaven or descended, who have gathered the wind in his fist, who have bound the waters in a garment, who have established the ends of the earth. What is his name, and what is his son's name, if thou can tell, with the question mark. So right there is letting you know, if you have understanding, you got spiritual eyes, if the Lord is dealing with you, an ear to hear and eyes to see, that, well, then Jesus can't be the name. Especially when you add unto the fact that the letter J was not created into the English language until the year 1631. The Lord died almost 1700 years before that. Before that time period. All right, and there is no J. There was no J sound in the Hebrew. Neither was it. I don't even believe there was a J sound in the Greek or the Latin. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure of it, because in the Latin language, the J has a Y sound or I sound. You know, like in the Spanish language, which is of the Latin. You know, because the letter J, like the name Jose, you would think that would be with an H, but it's a J. So you know. So, but you know, anyway, let's keep going. Next scripture he used was Luke 4:16. So let's go to that. Let's go to Luke 4:16. Because he sent back a lot of scriptures. And no one else in this group text has said a word, because they don't know any damn thing. Luke 4:16. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and as custom, he went to the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood to read. Wow. So he's trying to prove that you can go to, so he's trying to get around Acts 17:24 and Acts 7:8. That's what he's trying to do. Prove that it's okay to go into a building. All right. But he went to those places to correct and teach those Jews. Because what did the Lord teach? He would teach on top of a hill, on a boat, on a shoreline, in the open, in the marketplaces. All right. Let's prove that. I think it's Proverbs 1:20. Yeah, Proverbs 1:20. Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates, in the city, she uttereth her word, saying. That's where you see the Hebrew Israelite camps scattered abroad throughout America and around the world, mainly them of the GMS and the affiliates, teaching the gospel the same way they did when you go back to Luke. That same chapter he called for, when you go to the 18th verse, to the 18th chapter, all right? Because teaching of the word is not welcomed by the powers that be, all right? This is Luke 18, and I'm not Luke, Acts. I meant to say Acts 18:1. Cool. What happened in the book of Acts 18:1? Let's read it. And after, point is in verse 2. After these things, Paul departed from Athens and came forth to Corinth, just like he just left. Because what just happened? He just went to the synagogue to straighten them out, and he left there. Because he told you that the Most High God didn't dwell in places made with hands, man. All right? He let them know that about their synagogue, JC. All right? I'm going to say J. Cooper. That's his, all right? That's without saying his whole name, you know? J. Cooper. All right? But Acts 18:1, and after these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth, and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born of Pontus, lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome, and came unto them. Why were the Jews made to depart from Rome by Claudius? When you look their history up, it tells you because of aggressive street teaching. That's why. So this guy knows not the gospel, man. He knows not that he does wickedly. All right, because once again, you know, the only conversation back and forth in that group text message was between he and I. He's saying, well, I don't want to spar with you. If you choose not to learn it in the building, you know, that's up to you. All right, and that wasn't even what it was about. I was just trying to correct him that, look, man, you're not going to find the truth inside of a building, because that means that those people are teaching under a 501c3 charter, which means they have a cap on what they can and cannot teach, man. And they have to teach an approved doctrine that's approved by Esau Edom. Then he talked about the devil, that Jesus will be in a physical temple when Satan is locked up for 1,000 years. So he completely knows not the scripture, has understanding of history, man. All right. And that also means that he believes in that rapture doctrine, because Satan has already been locked up for 1,000 years. He's loose now. So he completely believes in a rapture doctrine. So this is a dude mixing Christianity with the Bible. All right. Because in the ILG video that he sent, the guy's coming against, he's telling you in the video that our heritage had been taken away from us. What is our heritage? The Bible, our Hebrew Israelite heritage. And we've been called, and then it didn't mention a name. It didn't mention the Northern Kingdom. It only showed you Negroes. The first people that went in slavery on slave ships with chains and yokes of iron around their neck was the so-called Latins, man. The so-called Puerto Ricans, the Taino Indians that were taken to Seville, Spain by Christopher Columbus, whose real name was Cristobal Colon. Those were your first fruits of slavery. Then they went to get Judah. And many a times they were on the ships together. That's why Jeremiah 50 and 33 reads, matter of fact, let's just get it. Let's go to Jeremiah 50 and 33. I'm in 51, Salakia. And it reads, "Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go." All right, so Israel, both northern and southern kingdom, were in captivity together, and they're still in captivity together. All right. And now we're living in a time where the breaches are being closed up, because the elect of the northern and the southern kingdom are coming back together. All right, because most southern kingdom Israelites that know that they're Israelites don't acknowledge the northern kingdom. They think that everybody that's Israel has to look like Lamar Virgin, you know, when he was Kunta Kinte. All right, that was only the southern kingdom, man. You have to remember that the Israelites got scattered to the four corners of the earth and mixed in with all the heathen. The northern kingdom was heavily mixed with Moab. All right, when they were still in Samaria, because Ammon and Moab, the so-called Asians, were right next door, so they were intermingling, mixing, and making children with them. That's why so many Latinos, especially Mexicans, and them, a lot of them, the Indians of South America, have those features that are somewhat look like Asians, man. And then they were heavily mixed with Ishmael. All right, they were heavily mixed with Ishmael during the Assyrian captivity, man. They were mixed with the Arab nations. Arab means mongrel, mix, man. So they were heavily mixed with them too. All right, for many generations before they came free and came over here to the Americas, man. All right, and Judah was intermingled with the Hamites. So it's really not by what a person's appearance is, right? Because they also intermingled and mixed. Hey, look, among the Israelis, the fake Jewish people are still going to be found Israelites. There are real Israelites mixed and mingled among them. So this isn't a color thing, man. Because this ILG video also was celebrating Black History Month. Well, it's not Black history. Black means death, man. It's Israelite history. All right. So let me see. What else did he mentioned? Ezekiel 4:7. Let's go to that, because it's so many scriptures that he he blurted out in his text, and he had no understanding of any of them. All right, he knows he's an Israelite. That much he knows. All right, but that's about it. He mentioned Ezekiel 4-7. Let's read. It says, lie there also upon thy left side, and lay iniquity in the house of Israel upon it, according to the number of the days that thou shalt lie upon it, and bear her iniquity. For I have laid upon her 3 years of their iniquity, according to the number of the days of 390 days, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. And when thou hast accomplished, lie again on the right side, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. So that's talking about the northern and southern kingdom right there. Okay. Therefore thou shalt set thy face toward the siege of Jerusalem, and thine arms shall be uncovered, and thou shalt prophesy against it. So I have no idea why he put that in there. All right. I don't understand why he put that scripture in there. All right. And then when I tried to call him, he wouldn't answer the phone. Okay. So then he put First Chronicles for, you know what? We're just gonna forget about him for now, and we're just gonna go back to the scriptures, because I told him that this was for the elect. And after I said that, he said nothing. All right. I said, and no scripture is going to negate that. All right. So let's go to the Wisdom of Solomon. Verse 3 and 9. Okay. And it reads, they that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him, for grace and mercy is to his saints. All right. And the saints are the Israelites. All right. According to scripture. And he have care for his elect. All right. And not all Israel are saints, only the elect. Well, not all Israelites are saints, but it clearly tells you not all Israel is Israel. All right. But for the elect's sake. And I'm going to get that, because that's in Matthew 24. But let me grab another one. Let's go to the book of Sirach 17 and verse 10, and it reads, and the elect shall praise his holy name, which is Yahweh Shai, not Jesus. And the elect shall praise his holy name. All right. And let's get the last one in Matthew and close this out, man. Because arrogance and pride, he doesn't realize that he prophesied about himself. When he brought up Acts, he's one of those Jews that don't believe. He knows he's an Israelite, but yet he's following Edomite influenced version of Christianity with an Israelite twist on it. Okay. This is Matthew 24 and 22. And it reads, except those days shall be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So he better wise up, man, you know. And you know, and look, and I don't hate the guy, anything like that. I don't even think I've ever met Jay Cooper. I've just remember talking to him on the phone quite a few times in years past. All right. And I know that he was a friend of my sister, but my sister's the one that started that madness, you know, by bringing him, because at first he didn't believe at all. I do remember that. And now he's come to the fact that he's an Israelite, not even realizing that I helped him on that path, because I do remember talking about it. But yet he wants to follow, you know, his own way. He doesn't want to listen, man. So with that, all praises go and honor be unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Abashai, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash, Wa Abba Babal. Shalom.